of The Flower of Freedom by Deborah J. Reeves. All rights to the book and my presentation of it are reserved. We're delighted that you're here. Please come in and leave your burdens outside the door. Please come in. We have a seat prepared for you where you can sit, we hope, very comfortably and very relaxed for about 8 minutes in your busy day. Here we go. Chapter 117, Home. Marie was still in Paris because her year had been altered. The year at McGill allowed her to continue her education in medicine and see patients with Dr. D, but with the exchange year over, it was only fair to spend time with Uncle Aki that summer. She was all set to continue her studies at PSL, and Philippe was there in Paris, starting up his computer business. Thus, it was Colette, Oscar, and the twins who met Bertie and Bianca at the airport. Oscar drove them to the apartment where they would reside until their house had been completed. Bianca could not close the door behind them quickly enough. She did not even offer them refreshments or thanks, even though they had cleaned and decorated and filled the refrigerator. "I cannot abide those crying children," she asserted when Bertie looked at her questioningly. Shortly after the family was gone, she turned to Bertie and she said that surely he did not expect her to live there for long. "How long will the renovations take?" Before Bertie had left for France for the wedding, Jean-Claude had helped him draw up papers to register his own construction company. Many of his childhood hockey buddies had never achieved their dreams of a hockey career, and some had completed certified skilled trades, while others simply needed stable incomes as laborers. 4 of them had committed to work with Bertie so long as they could get a paycheck. Bertie turned to Bianca and he said, "With the money we got from the wedding, we'll have enough to pay for about 3 months' renovations, I think. I'm hoping we can finish in that time. And then I can find other projects for the company to make an income." "You're not using my money for renovations," she retorted. "Our money, Bianca." "Okay," said Bertie. "If you want it to be left sitting in the bank, I can work on the house myself on weekends. I'm sure Oscar will help. That will take longer, though. In that case, we'll have to live here for at least 2 years. 2 years, Bianca exploded. "Fine. Take the money. Get it done in 3 months. Top quality, but you had better find a way to put that money back in the bank within a few years. I'm going back to school until Christmas time. My parents promised to pay for my education until it's complete. No sense in wasting the whole year. Dr. Penfield has agreed to let me work in his lab again. We need to have that house ready, totally ready, by the time the baby's born. Leave me some money for furnishings and decor. Oh, and we need a car." "I'll see if my mother will lend us hers for a while," Bertie responded. "If that's the best you can do," she shrugged, "but not for long." And so it began. The next day the young couple went to the house to review the blueprints for the renovation. When they pulled up in the car that they had borrowed from Colette, they found 2 Cadillacs in the driveway. They rushed to the front door, wondering who was at the house. As Bianca opened the door with the key, Bertie dug into the mailbox. Among the flyers, he found an envelope addressed to him. He tore it open. Inside it, he found a typewritten sheet of paper and the ownership and keys for the Cadillacs. It simply said, "To Bertie and his bride on the occasion of your wedding. Wishing you a happy life, my son." Bertie stared at the papers with amazement. "What is it?" Bianca asked. They're ours, whispered Bertie. What? The Cadillacs, they're ours. They're a gift from my father. What? They can't afford this. I have to go over to my parents' place to talk, Bertie stated. What are you going to talk about, Bertie? They're ours. Your parents are adults. They know what they're doing. Don't you do anything that will put that in jeopardy. I want that car. It's mine. My parents bought the house. Yours can do their share. When Bertie went to each of his parents and hugged them with tears in his eyes, they were startled. He thanked them for their generosity, and even Bianca looked at them with approval for the first time. They took note of that. Just then the twins called for Colette, and she left the room. Bertie thanked his papa for the Cadillacs, and Oscar was shocked. He didn't know what to say, but Bianca was too self-absorbed to notice the silence. She rushed in to tell Bertie that they had to leave, distracting him as well. She said she needed to go home to rest. Bertie offered to leave Colette's car in the driveway, and he said, much to Bianca's dismay, that they could walk back over to their house. They would drive one of the Cadillacs back to the apartment. Bianca walked out in a huff, and she told Bertie how inconsiderate he was all the way back down the block. After they left, Oscar told Colette what had transpired. She was confused at first, and then frightened when Oscar told her the truth of what Dr. D, Jean-Claude Aki, and his friends had been trying to deal with. Call Jean-Claude, she said, ashen-faced from hearing the name Hans Schmidt, and he did. Jean-Claude called his friend at the RCMP, and then he got back to them. Jean-Claude told Oscar, he said you should try and get the letter, if you can, but not to say anything to Bertie or Bianca. Do not deny that you gave them the gift, or Bertie will start to wonder about Hans. Hans got that birth certificate that we talked about from the private investigator, but remember that the date of birth was altered. RCMP informants in Buenos Aires said that a forger altered the name on the birth certificate. Hans had the certificate framed. He had a forger change the name on it to Herbert Hans Schmidt. The worst news, if there can be worse news, is that he also had another certificate framed at the same time. According to the informant's report, Hans had a wedding certificate framed. A Catholic priest signed the certificate in German between one Colette Picard and Hans Herbert Schmidt in 1944. That's the end of chapter 117. The next chapter is called Hans, Son and Daughter-in-Law. We hope you'll come back for that. Please, if you think about it, give us a like if you're enjoying this, and please subscribe so you never miss a chapter. We look forward to you coming back. I remain your friend, Deborah.